Before we move on from these psychopaths that are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, a public school teacher in Canada has been suspended after allegedly showing a video of Charlie Kirk's assassination to students as young as 10 in his class. That's according to reports from authorities. And this teacher also suggested that Charlie Kirk deserved to be killed and gave the young students a speech about anti-fascism and transgender issues. Now, hearing those reports, I just have to agree with Vice President JD Vance here. Now, JD Vance hosted Charlie Kirk's podcast this morning in what he called a special tribute to his close friend. And JD Vance used the podcast to encourage people to go after anyone who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death and report them to their employer. Listen to this.
The entire administration is trying to do as much as possible to find everything that we can about what led to this, about how we got here, and of course, ultimately, how an assassin took Charlie's life. I wanted to zoom out with Stephen a little bit and talk about all of the ways that we're trying to figure out how to prevent this festering violence that you see on the far left from becoming even more and more mainstream. And
Hilary, what are your thoughts on what JD had to say?
Well, I totally agree with JD Vance. And with regard to the story and the teacher that you mentioned, I mean, these are 5th and 6th graders. He made them watch that violence, that assassination over and over and over again. I actually can't even think of a time when that would be appropriate for such young students, let alone the lecture that he gave them on top of that. And JD Vance is exactly right that anybody that does celebrate death on either side of the political spectrum, they should be reported to whoever they work for. I know that already there have been pilots, teachers, medical professionals that have done that have been reported. And I think it's the right thing to do because we shouldn't tolerate such violence and intolerance in any society.
Absolutely agree with you. And, you know, Charlie Kirk was calling out the deranged assassination culture that seems to exist in the far left. He was talking about this months ago, even years ago. But you mentioned, Hilary, that Turning Point USA has seen a massive surge in inquiries for new college chapters as the organisation works to advance Charlie Kirk's vision following his assassination last week. And look, would you say that his death is a bit of a turning point? I know that's become a bit of a talking point, I should say, but so many people just would love to continue the mission that he started.
Well, absolutely. And I actually would say that I think many people admired what his wife, Erica, said. And what she said was that his voice and his memory and his message will not be forgotten. And I think that, you know, we should all bear in mind what Shakespeare said as, you know, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. She's been scorned by this death and she is not going to let this go. And the 37,000 applications, I think absolutely, yes, prove that people are not going to let his very healthy, very law-abiding, hardworking message die. I think it's not going to die with him. In fact, it's a sleeping giant that's been awoken.
Absolutely. Look, Erica Kirk, she's absolutely incredible. I'm in awe of her. Finally, before I let you go, Donald Trump will arrive in the UK soon for his second state visit, which will also include trade talks with Keir Starmer. What else can we expect, Hilary?
Oh, yes, it's going to be rather good in terms of business for both nations. They're actually going to be talking about nuclear power that will power AI, these huge data centers that are going to be developed, which will be beneficial to both countries. They say that actually data centers use about as much electricity as New York City does in a day. So it's going to be a tremendous agreement with regard to nuclear power. And we're going to see not a carriage tour through the town of Windsor, because of course there were predicted to be some protests in Windsor and he's not going to London, but President Trump will be attending a state dinner at Windsor Castle. He will be laying a wreath for the beloved former Queen Elizabeth II. She is interned at St. George's Chapel, and there she is interned with Prince Philip, her husband, the Queen Mother, her mother, and King George VI and her sister Margaret, Princess Margaret. So President Trump will be visiting there. He will have a carriage tour with King Charles and Camilla and actually the Prince of Wales and the Princess of Wales, Catherine, through the grounds, though, of Windsor Castle, extensively with military in attendance, the RAF, all of the different services. And there'll be a flyover, American flyover, UK flyover, the state dinner Wednesday night, and then he will be departing and going to Chequers, Sir Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister's home, country home in Buckinghamshire. And Princess Catherine, interestingly, will be spending some time alone with Melania, the US First Lady, and they will be visiting some Boy Scouts events and doing some things together as well.
Okay. Hilary Fordwich, President and founder of Strelmark, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Pleasure, Gabriella. Thank you.